Unfortunately, Tony is not actually here today, so we're going to leap straight to the presenting privacy. Sport, either cricket or I can't remember which. But it's nice to be here under slightly different circumstances. Pity about the hour though. It's a little bit early for me. Had to get up quite early to get up here. But maybe some of you came in, got up early yourselves and came in being like, yeah, woo, privacy. Yeah, I'm going to hear about that. Who knows? Who knows? We'll hope we're lucky. Anyway, my name's Andrew. I've been working with the Privacy Commission for about a year now. I'm leading the youth project. I'm not a secondary school student, if you hadn't guessed. I'm a university student. I'm finishing up this year. I also do a bit of acting around the place. Nothing you would have seen me in, I'm sure. And I've spent a lot of time working with the students you've just heard speaking before. And, they say time flies when you're having fun, but no, they're fantastic. And during the time I've worked with them, I've come to learn a lot about privacy issues in general. And more specifically, about youth perspectives on privacy. What's amazed me is constantly their ability to engage with the issue and to enrich not only their understanding, but my understanding of what these issues are about, and that's an ability I'm sure you all share. It's been great to disprove notions like the one that you were talking about before, privacy is dead, Mark Zuckerberg. Don't know what he was on about. And also the notion that young people don't care about privacy. And as some of our speakers have said today, it's more of an awareness thing. Often it's not that we don't care, there's just a real lack of knowledge about what's going on. So in the spirit of trying to engage young people, I'm going to be picking on my students. I'm going to walk around them and try and ask them some questions at various times. And if any of you feel game as well, I'll come pick on you, but it's all right. I won't be too mean. So privacy. What's it all about? Often, when I say I'm working for the Privacy Commission on the youth project, people, I get a fairly standard response, and it's not usually, oh, Andrew, you're cool, man, that's awesome. Yeah. It tends to be, where's youth privacy? What are you on about? And often I don't know what to say. But essentially, privacy for young people is the same as it is for adults. And there's a couple of levels of what we might sort of call privacy. There's what we might call physical privacy. So say, if I come over and sit on Daniel's lap, get nice and cozy, it's probably, people might quite rightly construe that as an invasion of his physical privacy, yeah? He seems all right with it, yeah? You cool?
Do you realise this is going on national TV?
That's all right, I'm sure we're comfortable with that. But what I'm really talking to you about today is informational privacy. So the little details, the little bits of information that you put up on the internet or that are kept in your health records that really define who you are. And they sort of tell us what the things you do and what you like and how you go about living your life. So it's really a self-definitional thing. And so very, very important. And like I said, it ranges from little things like, say, your music taste to health records, medical details, and stuff like that. So for instance, well, the challenge here, obviously, is to decide what kinds of information, what details you're happy releasing to people, what ones you'd like to protect, who has access to them, and stuff like that. So, for instance, I would be very, very comfortable telling you that I'm playing D'Artagnan in The Three Musketeers, opening tomorrow at Griffin Theatre in Wellington. Book it, iTicket.co.nz. We're selling fast, get involved. But, because that's a really useful piece of information for all of you to know, especially you. But, for instance, I might not be so comfortable telling you my bank account number and PIN, because while that's really useful for you, not that useful, I don't have that much money, but it's really not useful for me because I'll have even less. Yeah, and it'll put me in a big pickle. The problem is that, much like my very subtle and utterly inadvertent promotion I just did then for the show, we do tend to leak these things out without realizing it sometimes. And I'm sure you've all heard about it before. There's been quite a lot of it today talking about social networking instead of the speech gone. Social networking, Facebook being the greatest evil on earth. It's not. I mean, Facebook is really good. I've got a profile, it's great for nagging people about shows, iTicket.co.nz. Getting in touch with people, it's wonderful. But there are some problems with it, and I'm not just talking about the, nasty mustachioed men you hear about sitting on the computers looking, stalking you, but just the little details, the putting up of the bank account details, or your cell phone number, or your address, or your place of work. Little details that you might actually not want people to see. And in the wrong hands, all of a sudden, it's not your property anymore. It becomes property of everyone. And to try and illustrate that point, I'm going to tell you a little story. It's actually not that little. It takes quite a bit of the page. It's admittedly fictional and contains a music reference that, I don't know, you might be too young to get. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. So let's have a crack at this. And then I'm going to ask some questions of my group. Or maybe you guys, if you feel up to it. I'm just going to get into storytelling mode. I feel like I need a fireplace and like a pipe or something. Yeah. Ziggy played guitar, jamming good at Mighty Mighty and other such bars. His career had taken off. Audiences were flocking to his shows. His Facebook page was riddled with comments from ardent admirers and fans of all sorts. Because he wanted to promote himself more, he stripped down his privacy settings to the bare minimum so that people could access his page and listen to his music. He had only a few friends before, and because he trusted them, he felt confident putting up details that maybe he wouldn't otherwise. The new settings were hugely successful, and the page got a lot of attention. One day, he even received an email from an overseas company suggesting that they could give him a contract if he just sent them a few key details: address, phone number, bank account number. And, he thought, yeah, I want to get signed, cool. So he sent them along, and suddenly he started receiving a lot of emails from other different companies. Then he received a call from his bank saying that there's payments made on his credit card that he didn't know about. Then he discovered his music was being distributed by other people without referencing him as the original artist. And worst of all, some of his friends and family were also receiving similar problems with their email accounts and with their social networking sites. Eventually, he decided to close down the Facebook page. And now he doesn't play at bars. It's a sad story. It's a very sad story. But we're going to try and make this a bit more positive by asking some questions and getting some knowledge out of this. So, can I ask a really broad question? And I expect hands. What's the problem? What's happened to Ziggy here? Was that a hand?
Got ripped off.
Yeah, he's been ripped off. He's totally been ripped off. His whole personality's been ripped off. His music's gone and it's being distributed. People, it's getting released and other people don't think it's him, which is a real problem. Yeah. How might he have prevented this from happening in the first place? I'm going to pick on you if you don't do it. Daniel?
Well, personally, I wouldn't have been in the public domain myself, so I'm a very private person. No, full...
Well, that's a point. Yeah, you could not have a Facebook profile, but assuming that you do...
You could just hide. But otherwise, you can use full privacy settings. Maybe even a proxy server. Those are the things that get you into Facebook at school, by the way. They're also good for hiding your identity.
Thank you, Daniel, for telling us all how to cheat your school internet server. Anything else? Come on.
Maybe make a separate page for his music and another one for his personal stuff.
Absolutely. And it's really little things, yeah, really little things. They're not hard. On Facebook, you've got quite a lot of privacy settings, and the default is actually to set it to pretty much minimum, so almost anyone can see your page. I happen to disagree that that should be the due process, but it is. So just thinking about and also in terms of the things you post. Even if you post details with a quite small group of friends, it can leak out into the wider domain. And another point I like to make is that in the case of Ziggy and his guitar, it wasn't just him that was affected, it was other people's information. Because through social networking sites, often you can, if you leave your Facebook page open, not only can they access you, they can access your friends and family. And sometimes that's much worse, to actually hurt people you love. In the kit we're launching, we've got a bunch of stories similar to this one, less Bowie reference, but they're very useful. And they're good things to take back and talk about. Or if you've got, stories of your own, to have a real think about, or people who things like this have happened to have discussions about and to talk about with your friends, family, and that way you hopefully will be able to maintain your private space. And on this line, you heard Daniel talk before about the film that we made. I'm going to get in to show you this film. I might ask some questions about it, I might not. I'd rather be quick. You guys realize you've been sitting here for quite a long time. So can I cue the film? Get the lights off.